Hello to all of the Moogles, Chocobos, and Tonberries out there. My name is Ravlin. I am one of the admins for Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. And here I am recording something I am calling Moogle's First Seed. And this was actually inspired by some videos I saw called like Ducklings Tournament or something from the Final Fantasy I randomizer. So shout out to them for giving me that idea. I really appreciate it. So what my goal with this particular video is to sort of explain some of the presets or some of the flags that I've chosen here that I think would be a good first seed for someone brand new to Worlds Collide. I will give you the flags. I will also give you the seed name. So if this is your first time going through Worlds Collide, you'll actually be able to play the seed along with me. So I'm going to explain the flags that I've chosen, why I have chosen them for this particular experience, and then I will sort of walk you through how I am going to approach this seed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that onto my clipboard so I have it for later. If you go to the website, which is ff6wc.com, you will see this page. There are many presets, and hopefully by the time you've seen this video, there will be a Moogle's First Seed preset, which will have all of these flags filled out for you. These presets do give you sort of an easy way to just pick a different flag set that maybe you haven't played before and give it a shot. I think the most important single flag here is game mode, and what I'm doing here is called character gating. Character gating means that each character you get will open up a certain number of checks, a certain number of places that you can go in order to find progression through the game. And if we look over here at Kefka's Tower, that tells us how many characters we need and how many espers we need and how many dragons we need to have killed in order to enter Kefka's Tower. For characters and espers, that is a hard limit. You must have at least 7 characters and 10 espers in this particular case to enter Kefka's Tower at all. For dragons killed, because there are 2 dragons in Kefka's Tower, you can choose to go into Kefka's Tower and kill those 2 dragons before you have killed all of the dragons that you need. Because if you need 8 dragons, you need the 2 in Kefka's Tower. So, again, on this very first tab here, Game, we have Settings. So I chose a preset that I have then modified. The game mode is Character Gating. The seed name. This is just a thing that you can enter in if you want to name your particular seed, or if you want to generate the same seed as someone else. You can enter the character string of their seed here. So if you go through and use the exact same flags that I have and put in the seed Moogle's First Seed, you will get the exact same game that I have here. I will not be generating a spoiler log. A spoiler log will literally tell you what the reward of each individual check is, so you can figure out where everything in the game is. And then down here, there is a box where if you are given a particular set of flags, you can just copy and paste them into the box here, and they will set all of the flags for you. So each of the flags is sort of a different option that you can enable to play the game. So that's the general ones here. Let's look at the party flag. So this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to let you make some different choices. First off, it's going to give you the choice of what your starting party is. I am choosing for this particular seed 2 random starting characters. It is pretty typical to have starting characters be 2. That allows a few choices at the beginning of the game. And for an easier time, we generally start off with No Go-Go or Umaro, as both of those characters have a single check available to them, and they can be a little challenging for new players to use if those are your only options. For characters, I have chosen start at the average level. Every time you recruit a new character, they are going to join at the average level of all of your other characters that you already have. So, as an example, you start off with 2 characters. They're going to start at level 3. If you recruit a new character without taking any battles at all, they're going to be at level 3. If you go and grind that party up to level 20, the next character who joins will be level 20. I have turned on the equipable Umaro flag. That just means Umaro, the Yeti, is someone that you can equip just like any other character. That means you can both give him equipment and take equipment off of him. Both of these things have their uses. For this particular one, I have chosen to leave every character's commands as they are in vanilla. So Terra is going to have Morph, Locke is going to have Steel, Cyan's going to have Sword Tech. For other seed flags, there are other options that I will go into when we get to those seed flags. Those flags. For Sword Tech here, one thing that I've changed is I've turned on the fast Sword Tech gauge. Just means that the Sword Tech gauge charges 4 times faster, which makes Sword Tech a much more usable and enjoyable ability at all. We do have for Blitz, Bum Rush last. That just means that before you can take Sabin and go to Duncan's house in the World of Ruin, you need to have learned every other Blitz by level up first. That's just so that you don't have access to one of the most powerful abilities in the game at, say, level 3. I have chosen that for lures, we're going to start with a random selection of lures. That just means that it's not going to be Aqua Rake and Roulette, I believe, are the 2 that Strago starts with. It's going to be random, and the MP is going to be original. I'm actually just going to change that right now just to make it a little bit simpler. Same thing for starting rages. Those are going to be random. Gao's rages could be any of the ones that he is able to learn, but it will be roughly the same number that he has in the vanilla game. I've also taken out no leap and no charm. So no leap means that leap is not an available skill. I am actually going to change that to be a random ability just to make Gao a little bit more interesting to use. That means instead of having to go to the Veld and fight enemies and leap Gao away and then fight more enemies and then get Gao back, all you have to do is fight the enemies, and then the rage will be learned. They are learned after every battle. If you are battling an enemy who can be learned as a rage and you defeat that battle, you have the rage. We've also turned off no charm. There is a particular rage, Nightshade, that has the ability Charm that is like a better Confuse, effectively. It will force the enemy to fight for you. Literally nothing in the game is immune to Charm. That includes Final Kefka. You can use Charm on Final Kefka, and he will fight himself for you. So we have that one turned off. And then start dances. Once again, going to make one small change. The abilities are going to be vanilla, but anyone can learn the dances. You do not have to have Mog in your party in the fight to learn the dance of that terrain. So that is the choices I've made here for this starting party. For battle, we have a lot of options that are available here. So for this one, experience is going to be gained 3 times faster. Magic points are 5 times faster. Gold is 5 times faster. And at the end of a battle, your experience points are not divided among the number of party members. So if it says you gain 1,000 XP, each person gains 1,000 XP instead of each person gaining 250 XP. These are settings just to speed the game up a little bit, because frankly, this is a randomizer. Who's got time for long grinds? I do not. Here we have boss battles are shuffled, and they will give us experience at the end of a battle. Other than that, bosses are as they are in vanilla, except for these 4 changes. Doomgaze will not run away from you. You also cannot run away from Doomgaze. Rexol will not use the ability Zinger. Magimaster will not cast Ultima as a death counter. and Chartanook will be in his demon form more often. These are just some quality of life changes that I think are very valuable. I don't think I ever turn those AIs off. So one of the most important aspects of a Worlds Collide Randomizer is choosing your scaling. There are lots of choices here. I can explain them at another time, but we are going to choose progress times 2. Progress times 2 is a pretty common, pretty standard scaling that is used a lot in the racing community here. Enemies are going to start off at level 3. Keep in mind that that is the lowest level enemies can be in the game, and each enemy has a -1, 0, +1, or +2 to their level that is determined upon the start of a battle. So just because it's progress times 2 with the minimum level of 3 doesn't mean that you will automatically know the exact level of every enemy. You will know roughly the level of every enemy. Progress times 2 means for every bit of progress you get towards gaining entry into Final Kefka, so every character and Esper that you gain, the enemies will gain 2 levels. So they're going to start off at level 3. Normally, you start off with 2 characters, so that would be the enemies gain 4 levels. The enemies are now level 4. If I gain a 3rd character, the enemies will be level 6. Again, with that -1 to +2 variation there. Not only do their levels scale, some of their other stats will scale as well, such as their MP. And the amount of XP they give at the end of a battle will also be scaling with you. So things that normally give you, 50 XP in the base game, if it's a level 3 enemy and they're level 4, they might give you 60 XP. So the higher level the enemies are, the more XP you will gain, and the more the more levels you will gain through this. We then have the enemy abilities flag. There are 3 options here. Original is what it says on the tin. We are choosing scale element. Each of the elemental spells has been assigned a tier, 1 through 5. And enemies, based on how relatively difficult they are, so an easier enemy will pick from lower tiers more often than higher tiers. So, for example, if you were to face Flame Eater uses things like Fire 2. If you face a level 3 Flame Eater, he'll be more likely to use Fire 1. If you face a level 50 Flame Eater, he might be more inclined to use Fire 3 or Flare Star or Merton, depending on what is picked. So the scale elements means that in the early game, tougher bosses tend to be a little bit easier because they're using weaker abilities. And in the late game, bosses tend to be a little bit harder because weaker bosses are using more powerful abilities than they do in vanilla. So the max scale level is 40. That is the maximum level enemies can be scaled to. This does not include the distortion effects. So if for some reason before I gain entry into Kefka's Tower, I have, 10 characters and 10 espers, that is, 20 things times 2, that would get me a level of 40. I gain another esper, it's still 40. That's just there as sort of a safety valve so that you can't get too far ahead of yourself here. The other flag here that I have enabled is Scale 8 Dragons. That just means that the 8 dragons that are available in the World of Ruin, such as the one in the Opera House or the one on Mount Zozo, the scaling is applied to them. So if my enemies are around level 20, these dragons will be around level 20. We have random encounters are shuffled. So every random encounter in the game, think of it like a deck of cards. They are one of those cards in that deck. The randomizer shuffles that deck, and then where there was any random encounter, it is dealt one of those cards from that deck. There are no repeats of those cards. So, if an enemy only appears in one location, they will always only appear in one location. Our fixed encounters are random, normal enemies. This is where things can get a little weird. You can get some extra encounters from the normal shuffle, but they are random encounters. So the Burning House isn't always going to be bombs. The Burning House could instead give you soldiers from Kefkat Narsh. And we have all battles are escapable. That applies to both random and fixed encounters, and it counts if you're using warp or smoke bombs. All of those work. All right. Moving on from the battle tab, we have the magic tab. This is actually fairly simple. So I'm going to approach natural magic first. In the vanilla game, both Celis and Terra learn magic naturally as they level up. Terra is part Esper. Celis had Espers infused into her. That just means that what we have here is that the two characters who are going to learn natural magic are randomized. Could be any of the characters, except for Gogo and Umaro. Also, the levels and the order of the spells and what spells they learn are also randomized. Over here with Espers, our spells are going to be... I'm actually just going to change that to Shuffle. That means, just like with the enemy formations, all of the spells that were on Espers are put into a pile, shuffled together, and dealt back out to the Espers. Same thing with the bonuses that Espers give you on level up. Those are just shuffled around. The MP is a random distortion. So Fire will always cost less than Fire 2, will always cost less than Fire 3, but they will not necessarily have the same exact MP costs as they did in vanilla. And all Espers are equipable by all characters. The final flag here that I have turned on is multi-summon. That just means that you can summon an Esper more than once per battle. In the vanilla game, it would only be once, but now we have made it so that you can do it more than once. For items, we're not going to start with any gold. We're going to start with 3 Moogle Charms. This is the way that you can avoid random encounters, is by equipping a Moogle Charm. All characters are able to equip Moogle Charms, and we have 3 because there are times when you're splitting into 3 parties, and we thought that just shuffling or doing the equipment shuffle of unequipping it from one character and equipping it on another character every time you swapped was tedious and not fun, so we give you 3 Moogle Charms. For both my shops and my chests, we have a setting called what is Shuffle plus 20% random. That means all of the regular inventory of these things is shuffled together, and 20% of those items are removed from the pool and replaced with random items. This means that there is a chance that things like Minervas and Illuminas and Ragnaroks and Auralances will be available in shops or chests, but we're not sure. This makes it a little less chaotic than full random and tends to be slightly less powerful than full random items. The buy and sell price is a random distortion. So these are distorted by a random amount. That, again, that means that generally tonics will be less than potions. And if you give me just one moment, I am going to be joined by another one of the admins here to help out. Just one moment, please. Go ahead and say something again, please.
Hello.
Perfect. Welcome. You are live, FYI.
Oh, okay.
live on my stream. Currently, I am recording what I'm calling a Moogle's First Seed. This is inspired by, I saw Final Fantasy I Randomizer was doing what they're calling their Ducklings event, where there are have these videos recorded that are sort of explaining and walking through the flag choices for someone's first seed, and then playing that seed and sort of explaining how people are making the choices and going through.
Okay.
Make sense?
Absolutely.
Perfect. You can actually just follow along on my stream. That might be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the ad to pass.
Gotcha. So far, I've gone through basically everything except for the other tab on the flags. Let me paste these flags to you. And I will try to get these flags set as a preset on the website so that anyone who's following along can just click preset Moogle's First Seed and go on.
Okay.
It is effectively a 7-10 seed with a few things that are easier. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
If people want, there are customizations available for the aesthetics. You can change the various sprites in the game. I'm not going to do that for right now, because that just makes things complicated. And then finally, in the other flag set, Coliseum opponents and rewards are randomized. The auction house is randomized. The guy, when you walk in, is going to tell you if there are espers there. There is no chocobo or airship part available, so you won't just waste your time with those particular auctions. We have various bugs fixed. Auto sprint is on. We've randomized the RNG tables so that you cannot manipulate the RNG in the same way, and you will not get extra Moogle charms in chests. So, Vamp, when you are starting out a seed, what is one of the first things that you try to do, or you're thinking about as you're starting out?
So one of the first things that I look at when I'm going to start a seed is, well, how long do I want to be playing this? To me going over to how many, either the requirements, the bosses, espers, and or the dragons, espers, and characters that are required to complete the game of the seed as well, because that's going to heavily translate to how fast this seed is actually going to go.
All right. So if you're playing a regular, say, 7-10 seed, which is sort of our standard at this point, how long do you generally expect a seed like that to last?
For a new person starting out, I would probably say about 3 hours easily. 3 hours is not too bad, for a first time seed. And I think after that, you can easily try to cut it down to anywhere between 2.5 or 1.5 hours to two and a half hours. That should be a good, average time for a seed like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I am, trying to generate the seed, but I was on the website too long, and it said it was a bad request. So lately, in this community, we have been doing what we call the Kefka Grand Prix. How have you been enjoying the Kefka Grand Prix thus far?
The Kefka Grand Prix is pretty cool. A lot of different people have been able to choose the flag sets every week, and it's made for a nice little tournament because everyone has a different way they want to play, and it kind of gives us all new ideas to kind of look at.
Gotcha. So yeah, that is one thing that I've been personally very much enjoying is the change in the different things each week. So it's something different. You can't you're not just like doing the same task over and over again. You're figuring it out as you go. Have you been doing much practice for each
I've
week?
I've done zero practice. I do go into the game thinking that I know I'm not a good racer. Like if we had a variation where it was 100%, I would probably be more apt to doing like full on racing. But I'm at that point where I'm like I'm just enjoying the game, and then if I get a better time, cool. If not, I'm just enjoying the game.
Gotcha. So there is a large racing community here in Worlds Collide, but that is by no means the only people or the only way to play.
Absolutely.
There we go. Sorry, I'm finding my setup, which I thought was totally ready, has been being obnoxious to me, and I'm not sure why.
Especially with the new scaling abilities, I'm really liking dealing with that lately.
So we do have scale element on right now. Do you care to give a little explanation on what that means for you as a player?
So as a player, as it stands, the way I understand it is, you if you're going into a boss at a lower tier and say their element is fire, they're going to be casting a lower tier fire spell at you. Um, and as the game progresses and the bosses tend to level up depending on what progression is set, those abilities can ramp up to, say, even Fire 2, Fire 3, I believe Murton, Flare, and even higher tier spells um, that those bosses or enemies would not normally have, which makes you kind of, be a little bit more on top of your toes when approaching those enemies.
Gotcha. All right. As you can see, I have finally gotten the actual seed loaded up. So you will always start on the airship like this. I have two characters. And would you agree, Vamp, that everyone, when they're starting out, especially if you're doing character gated, you're going to want to start off with a tracker of some sort?
Absolutely. When you're starting out, the tracker is going to help out tremendously.
I use Emo Tracker. Is that what you use also?
No, I'm actually using the Drulith tracker.
Yep, so there are two main trackers used in our community right now. One is Emo Tracker, which you can see on my screen here. And some people use another one, which is Drulith's Tracker, one of the members of our community who's made it. What this tracker does is that it allows me to check off characters as I get them, and then shows me what checks are available. So I'm starting off with Terra and Shadow. I have lots of choices available to me. I like that. And I'm going to equip a Moogle Charm and change my configs first thing. I'm going to turn my battle speed all the way down, my message speed all the way up, and I prefer using a memory cursor. The battle speed turning all the way down to all the way up to 6 is basically just turning down the difficulty of the game. It just turns down how fast your enemies move. It has no effect on how fast your characters move. Took me a long time to learn that, you know?
Very, very good to know. And definitely very viable for, bosses that do have those quick attacks that might catch you off guard. That could make the huge difference between getting a, very important spell off to actually kind of move you towards the advantage in that regards.
Absolutely. So I have Terra and Shadow available to me, and I actually recommend a character gating start to new players for the reason that I actually think it is easier when your choices are more constrained than when the whole game is available to you at once. So I am recommending that sort of start. And right here, we have Terra. Terra opens up 5 separate locations we can go check. The Leet River, outside of the Returner's hideout, the Sealed Cave, the Welk Spot, Ramu's Chair in Zozo, and Funbaba in Mobliz in the World of Ruin. While Shadow opens up Gal Manor, where you recruit him during Sabin's scenario, the Floating Continent, and the Cave in the Veld. So, at this point, I'm going to start, and I'm going to start by looting some chests and trying to find some helpful items. Where would you head first here, Vamp?
With a Terra start, I would absolutely go to Sealed Cave first. You will not experience any encounters, and you'll get the most chests for the time that you'll be spending in there.
Yep. So I'm flying down here to the Imperial Camp. Now, if I were in character gating and tried to walk in here without Terra, it would immediately kick me out. So I'm going to come down here and find some treasures. Let's see if we get anything particularly notable. That Mega Elixir is actually quite useful.
Oh, absolutely.
And a Genji glove. Other than that, most of the items I found there were not particularly exciting. I mean, the Chocobo and the Nutkin suit both give some decent stats, but they're not something I would go out of my way to find. And the Atma weapon will probably be sold for money.
Right. So I mean, that's the biggest idea. If you're not finding equipment that's good to use right away, you're still actually getting some money for possible some good shops that could be available to you. Do you? I haven't really checked. Are breakable rods available?
Yep, everything is available.
Okay. Yep. I see that now.
So at this point, I am just making my way through this cave to the Sealed Gate. There are a couple of treasure chests that are a little far out of the way that I typically don't go and check. But they are available if you want to go check them. That particular chest had an ice rod. I am very happy about an ice rod. Why are rods such an important part of routing?
Well, rods are awesome because they bypass an enemy's reflect. They also cast a higher tier of actually the spell itself actually scales with the user's magic power, so they're able to get off some really powerful spells really early, and to avoid that reflect is huge in some cases. But the other thing is that those rods also can be used to cast a single target spell, which I believe was a kind of a newer thing to me for finding out.
Yep. They also roll max damage each time, which is pretty awesome. So, as you can see here, at the end of the cave to the Sealed Gate, I found another character, picked up Strago, marked him off on my tracker, and I've now added him to my party. So, that is a bit of progression towards entering Kefka's Tower. All of the enemies in the game have leveled up, have gained 2 levels because I grabbed Strago there. And now that I've done the cave to the Sealed Gate, I will check that off on my tracker so that I can know that I have already done that, because in 20 minutes, I'm not necessarily going to remember. All right, I am actually going to head to Gal Manor and check that next. Gal Manor is one of those things that we call a free check. Free checks are ones that you do not need to do any fighting for. There are no battles. You just get to do that. And there is also a shop here. Looks like I'm going to pick up a few Phoenix Downs, but that's about it. I'd probably overbuy on Phoenix Downs, to be honest. All right, and with that, I got my first Esper. Let's see what Phantom gives us. Quick might have some use later, so I will equip it and we can start learning the spells. But I'm not excited about it. Quick is a spell that once you cast it, it allows that caster to take 2 turns immediately with nothing interrupting it. And that can be part of some strats to get through the game later. But it depends on the other Espers that I get and the other spells I have available to me. So now I'm headed to South Figaro, possibly one of the most lucrative towns in the game.
Especially with that fixed dice that you just picked up.
Why is that fixed dice so exciting?
Well, the fixed dice, it ignores the target armor of an enemy. So enemies like Magic Master that are really going to negate any physical attacks are really going to be eaten alive by the fixed dice. They also, I believe they scale with your level.
They do?
Yeah, but you can easily do max damage. And if you pair them with a Genji glove or a offering, you can easily break the 9999 damage cap.
Absolutely. They do damage that is, I believe the formula is the number rolled on the first die times the number rolled on the second die times the number rolled on the third die times your level. And pretty much ignores other modifiers beyond that. In that item shop, I went and I just picked up a few healing items. Sleeping bags are effectively just a quicker tent that gets used on one character. A few remedies and a few echo screens just to deal with status afflictions that might happen later. All right, so in this armor shop, generally the more expensive an item, the better it is. For example, the Genji helmet is one of the better, like, just purely physical defensive hats in the game, but it's not something that's going to help me out a great deal right now, so not going to buy it.
It is one of those things that's good to note, though, while you're passing through the shops. If you remember that the Genji helmets are here, you can come back later on.
Absolutely. In this weapon shop, one of the things that I am going to purchase here is a sniper. Sniper weapons are particularly useful. They do the same damage from the back row, which is always helpful. You can put your characters in the back and defend them, get them a little bit higher defense. But also it does extra damage to anything that is considered floating. In the final battle, I believe most, if not all, of the phases of Final Kefka are considered floating. So that sniper will get 3 times damage hits. So it is one of those weapons that you can look out for, and it's often worthwhile to pick one up. And as Fraggle is pointing out in chat, the fixed dice are improved by Berserk. Again, with an offering, you can attack multiple times, and that will help out those fixed dice as well. So I'm just going through South Figaro here, looting these chests, and I am looking for a couple of things that will help me, get through this beginning the beginning of this seed. I don't know if this is true for you, Vamp, but I often find the first 15 to 20 minutes of a seed the most challenging parts.
Absolutely. Until you actually start doing a few battles where you start getting a few levels, um, it might seem a little difficult at first, but if you get really lucky, like I believe you have right here, you have fixed dice, you have a sniper, um, a Genji glove, and a ribbon. So that combined on one character, that one character might be able to drop the boss already at this level. So that might be what you need to kind of boost yourself ahead of the game right now.
Yes. So let's take a look. So Shadow right now has the highest physical damage, so I'm going to try to put that sniper on him and see how well I can kit him out. Nah, that's all right.
That's not too bad. And considering that the fact that you do have the 3 characters right now and the 1 Esper, so I believe the bosses are either I think level 7 or 9 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why those first few battles might be a little rough for you. But if you can overcome that, you'll be like 7 or 8, and then the next one will be that much easier.
Right. So with Shadow, none of my characters are able to equip the fixed dice, so hopefully as we go on, I will find a character who can use that item. But for here, I tried to put the best equipment on Shadow so that he can use that sniper and deal a bunch of physical damage. And then I tried to boost Terra's magic power because if I find rods later beyond that one ice rod, she's going to be doing the most damage with that. And I will do Strago's magic up a little bit as well because he is a magic user. And I can look at the lures he has available. Clean Sweep and Aqua Rake are actually decent AoE damage spells. And he has Grand Train, which once he gets 64 MP, that is Strago's best possible spell. That is almost as powerful as Ultima. It is non-elemental, battlefield-wide damage. It is a very, very good spell. So definitely something I am happy about seeing. So I'm just moving the Moogle charm around. I'm equipping, again, I'm setting Terra up to be a magic user, so I've given her a pair of earrings. That will increase all of her magic damage quite significantly. And I have put an XP egg on Strago. That will let him boost up his level pretty significantly so that he can get to the MP he needs to cast Grand Train. So at this point, I'm actually feeling pretty okay about how things are going. So I think I'm going to actually head to Zozo because there are some good treasure chests along the way. And there is one boss battle that I feel pretty confident about being able to handle.
I'd say just don't forget to move that shadow to the back line.
I appreciate that. One reason why I'm actually going to go do some more shopping first is I don't have any warp stones. Particularly for Zozo, warp stones are very important. Why would I be very interested in finding some warp stones before I go do that particular
It's going to save you almost a whole minute getting out of there.
Yeah. And look, they're right there. I don't even have to try for them. Go pick up a few warp stones. Those are able to be used in several areas of the game to just warp you straight back to the start of that area.
Also, knowing that the drill and anchor in this town are pretty...
And the noise blaster. If I find Edgar, I will try to remember to come back to Jador for his tools. But I don't really have the money for that right now, so let's head to Zozo and see if we can get something done here. So I do have the ability to go into the World of Ruin right now, but I have not chosen to do so. Mostly out of habit. I suppose one could very easily go to the World of Ruin to start off with.
You could, but always keep in mind that you do risk the chance of running into a Doom Gaze when you're not prepared to do a boss battle.
Yes, and also most of the checks that I have available to me right now are in the World of Balance, so it's just easier to stay in the World of Balance right now. So here I'm just climbing Zozo just like you do in the vanilla game when you're trying to go find Terra after she has turned into an Esper after the Kefka at Narsh battle and, flown off screaming into the sky.
Those running shoes will be very nice on Shadow.
They could be. I forget what... I have the Moogle charm on him and something else. But before I talk to Dottaluma here, I will check that before I get into a fight. So let's relic. Oh, I don't have anything else on him. We're going to put those running shoes. Running shoes just cast haste on Shadow, and that means he'll be able to take more turns.
We have a Sir Behemoth,
which is less than fun.
This is not ideal for a first battle.
It is not, but the undead flag is on as it is normally. So his second phase will be able to be Phoenix downed. I don't remember if the Ice Rod will actually work against Sir Behemoth, so I'm not going to try it with the possibility of healing him.
Right. So if anyone is watching and you're wondering what Pearl question mark does, what it does is it attacks everyone, and based on your gold count that you have going into the battle, the first integer in the ones place, whatever that multiplier is at, or whatever that number is, that's going to be how it actually attacks the characters. So if it's a 1, it's hitting every character on the board with Pearl. If it's a 3, it's all characters levels that are divisible by 3. So that's how that attack actually targets characters.
Yeah. So as you can see, that Sir Behemoth ended up using Scarbeam, which is actually an ability that Phantom Train uses. And that is instead of him using, I believe it would have been Pearl otherwise. And Pearl is a very, very powerful spell, particularly for this spot in the game. And that Sir Behemoth will absorb ice, so I'm glad I did not use my Ice Rod. So I am going to go, let's go back to Narsh and check out the Whelk spot. So I've decided that right now Sir Behemoth is really not going to be an achievable fight for me with what I have without gaining some levels. So I'm going to go do a different check, and we'll probably come back to the Zozo check later.
And always something good to keep in mind, if you're running into a few different checks and the bosses are just seem a little too tough at the moment, go ahead and take that Moogle charm off and get a few levels on some regular enemies. And it should only take a few minutes.
Absolutely. That is almost always a way that you can get yourself out of a sticky situation, because you gain more power from your levels than enemies ever will. And sometimes, especially in a randomizer, you're just not ready for whatever the rando is throwing at you at that spot. So instead of, beating your head against the wall, it's often better to just go try another check. And here, the town of Narsh also has a bunch of treasure chests are available. So I'm going to be able to hopefully get a little bit more power behind me before I go, make another attempt at that one. So here in Narsh, I'm going to loot a few chests. I have another set of fixed dice. Ooh, if I had a fixed dice user, that would change things.
That would really change things.
None of the armor in there was particularly noteworthy, so not worth picking up. Generally,
do you normally do the elder check?
No, I don't normally, actually. So here is something I do want to point out. You can see that there's the Sword Excalibur for sale. It's generally not worth it. It's not a bad weapon. Like, I'm never sad to see it, but I would rather have my 47,000 gold for something else.
But if you're very new and you're still kind of wondering what to grab, that is a good stepping stone.
Yes, it has good stats, and if it weren't for the existence of the Ragnarok and the Illumina swords, it would be the best sword in the game. Let's see, I haven't checked here. Is it just the one clock in here?
It's just the clock.
Okay. So yeah, there are lots of treasure chests and checkable things that you can go for scattered across the game. If you are just in need of some more power, you can, go to Narsh has 7 or 8 chests. Albrook has 5. There are options available to you. So right here is going to be the Welk spot, just a boss. Let's see what we get.
Ooh, Piranha.
Fun.
Now, what's so great about Piranha, Mr. Evelyn?
Well, so the Piranha fight is a little bit different than it is in the vanilla game. In the vanilla game, it is, I forget if it's 60 or 70 seconds before the actual boss Rizzopass will show up. But here in this particular randomizer, we have randomized the amount of time it takes for the boss to show up to be between 10 and 70 seconds. So it just makes it more worth it to just fight the piranhas as they show up. He is also not totally terrifying in terms of abilities. I'm going to double check something. Rizzopass absorbs water but not ice, so hopefully this ice rod should actually take him out. Ooh, not quite. One thing to note, the heal rod, if you equip it on one of your characters and hit someone else, it will heal them. If you use it with the throw command, it does damage. Do not throw the heal rod at your own party.
It will not heal them.
Nope. So from that battle, you can see I gained several thousand XP, a few levels, and I got another Magicite. So you see that brought my characters from level 3 to level 10. And Strago to level 12 because he has the XP Aegon. Unicorn gives me Cure 2. I will gladly take that.
So even though that new Esper added 2 levels to the bosses around the world, that Sir Behemoth is going to be a lot more viable with your current stats now.
Yes, I will be more powerful than he will be, as opposed to the other way around. I'm actually going to do a little bit more shopping. I would like to find some rods in a shop because I think that would actually make this much easier. So I'm going to go do a little bit of retail therapy here.
Also, don't forget, we did do the Gal Manor spot.
I have that checked off.
Oh, it's just a different. Oh, I'm looking at it as two different things. Yeah, I'm looking at Shadow as that's the floating continent one.
Yep. Aegis Shield's pretty good. Not something I really want to spend my money on right now. Fire
Sure.
rods. That's what I needed. Haha. So I am going to go through and sell a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think I need right now in order to buy fire rods. These are going to be my main source of damage for a little while until my characters gain some more levels on their own. Let's see, that should get me 14 fire rods. I think that'll be enough, do you?
It's absolutely enough right now.
So again, fire rods are just an incredible, or any of the rods are an incredibly powerful ability, way to get through checks. It's often a joke in Final Fantasy games that the way to deal with an issue is to throw money at it until it goes away. In Final Fantasy V, you literally use, GP Rain, and here you convert that gil into rods first.
So even if Ravlin still struggles with, Sir Behemoth coming up, if he starts to do a lot of damage, or the boss starts to do a lot of damage to Terra, just keep that in mind. If he's going to use that as a rod breaking champ, he might want to switch some gear over from Shadow to Terra, since he had all the defense gear on him, and take Terra to the back line.
I actually will do that now. I'll move Terra to the back line. I forgot about that one.
But the actual gear change might not be, needed right now. But that's if he struggles with Behemoth again. I don't think so. Not at this level, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about my ability to do that. And Strago has enough magic right now to do a cast of Grand Train, and that's going to help out quite a bit as well. So you can see that before, a single cast of an ice was enough to, kill one of my party members. That full party ice 2 was not enough to actually take any of my characters down. And that fire rod was doing 3,000 damage.
At level 10.
Again, rods are very good.
So now we're at phase 2.
And in this case, phase 2 is undead, which means that we can just throw a phoenix down on him and he's going to go away.
Yep. Phoenix down, Revivify, Life, they all work.
An elixir would work as well, although generally you want to use your elixir for other things.
Would an X potion work as well?
I have not tried an X potion, so I don't actually know the answer to that. I would assume yes. When you are doing a check and you see a little sparkle like this, thank you, Fraggle. Apparently an X potion does work. If you see a little sparkle like this means you are getting an item out of our good item pool, which is an Aegis Shield. Something I'm never unhappy to see, but, I'm not super excited at the same time. And here we'll use that warp stone, and we are gone. All right. So at this point, my choices are effectively Leet River, Funbaba, Floating Continent, Cave in the Veld, and then Strago's checks. Strago's checks are often let's say, panned by the community.
Oh, I love them.
They are longer checks. All of them have at least a boss battle, if not other battles required as well. So they tend to be avoided. Floating Continent is a very long check, and I'm still in World of Balance, so I'm going to actually go down to the Leet River, just because I like the Leet River check. It gives me some fixed encounters, some battles I'll have to fight, but it gives me far fewer than the Burning House will. And the Returner's Hideout here will give me some treasure chests to gather as well.
I actually I check the Returner's Hideout quite frequently, even if I don't have Terra in my party, just for these items in here.
It is a very good density of treasures. And it has a shop.
So you've already got decent stuff already. That Force Armor is one of my favorites.
Why is it one of your favorites?
The Force Gear, even though it does kind of show up for low physical damage, it has a high rate of blocking magical spells.
And that is quite useful. I believe it also halves the main elements, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So it's just really good to know what is going to stop certain attacks, and knowing what the shields and the armors do. With the Force Gear is really good for magic defense. However, something really good to know though, the Force Shield. If you stick to using the Optimum to put best gear on your characters, the Force Shield will not be used even over a Buckler, because the Buckler has higher physical defense than the Force Shield. But you probably want that Force Shield on over the Buckler.
That is a good point. Optimum is not always correct. So if you get a piece of gear and you're not sure who can equip it or various things that it does, now is actually what you can do is you can go into the item menu, click it twice. You'll see that this is the Force Armor. It gives 50% damage on earth, wind, lightning, ice, and fire. It will tell you who it can be equipped by. And then, again, if you hit the A button, it'll show you how much defense, and magic block it gives, along with any other stats that it has. So you can do that for any of the items that you have. For example, this Behemoth suit gives you a lot of good stat bonuses, notably like magic power. So I think I'll be equipping that to Terra as well. And as you can see, for example, fixed dice here can't be used by anybody.
Not anyone that we know yet, for sure.
Correct.
And those lists get updated as you acquire your characters.
That is true. And actually, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to put the Force Armor on Terra because she's the one who can use it. And I don't want to just not use the Force Armor because it's pretty good. All right, I'm going to do another save here, go straight down, and we're going to jump onto the raft of the Leet River. All right, Tuskers are not scary enemies here. I believe they are enemies from Mount Colts. Is that right?
What was that?
I believe they are enemies from Mount Colts. They're fairly early game enemies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, these were good enemies to find.
Yeah. On the other hand, Barbie and Critics are those are later game enemies. So I'm gonna use that Grand Train and hopefully take them out. But these enemies, they give, a decent amount of magic points, so pretty good. And one of them used the roulette ability, which Strago can learn. Even though he didn't get targeted by the roulette ability, it was still learned by Strago, thanks to our Everybody Learns flag. I could break a fire rod here on those enemies to get through them faster, but I don't really think that's worth it. That feels like a whole bunch of money for a whole bunch of nothing. Do I have a green cherry? I do not. Well, we're going to try to remedy off Shadow here, because he's doing not very much damage there as an imp. So one thing you will want to do if you are doing a check like the Leet River, where there are save points on there, you are going to want to save in a different slot than you saved outside of the river on. Have you had examples of getting yourself stuck somewhere because you didn't save when you should have?
I've had a few moments where I've gotten stuck from a bad save or not having a second save. But when I do these checks where you're kind of trapped in the event, just like this one, I try to have enough curative items just in case if I have to do a little bit last minute grinding. Because if you don't bring any curative items, you could probably almost brick a save that way.
Yep. So I've got, for example, these sleeping bags, and then when I save, I'm going to save very pointedly in a different slot, so that if, for example, the boss here is something I can't handle, I will be able to go back to my earlier save and continue the seed and not be stuck here. This is something that actually happens fairly regularly. New players will likely only get stuck on a seed like that once, and then they tend to learn. But if I can prevent people from having that negative experience, I'm going to try. Save in multiple slots. I feel fine about my HP and MP there. So after this one, we are going to find our way to where Ultros is in the vanilla game. All we really know is that it won't be Sir Behemoth, and it won't be whatever the other boss was that I fought already. Piranhas, thank you. I've already forgotten. I flushed it from my memory, didn't need it.
Now, what we're not wanting to see out here right now is like a goddess. That would be kind of rough right now. But I do like seeing some of those endgame bosses early on because of the items that they drop. They can be very beneficial early on.
That, and if I can get through them now, it means I don't have to deal with them later.
Absolutely.
Shadow does still have the bestest boy of Interceptor, who will still come and help you out when you need it. That does make Shadow one of the more evasive characters in the game. So if for some reason you need to build an evasion character, Shadow is a particularly good choice for that. Hey, speak of
An end game
enemies.
boss.
An end game boss. Inferno. I am just double checking my. I have a spreadsheet open so that I don't accidentally spread any misinformation here.
Did you learn Cure 2 on Strago yet?
Yes.
Cool.
We'll start with that. How's that? So I'm pretty sure he's not immune to fire, but we'll see. Worst case scenario, I've just, wasted 3,000 gold. I just wasted 3,000 gold. Good job, me. I just had to go down slightly further. So yes, Inferno absorbs fire, as we have just figured out. And I already used that ice rod, didn't I? Alrighty. So Terra is less than useful at this very moment.
Strago's out of MP, probably getting close.
I think he has one more cast of Grand Train in him.
Yep.
So here we're really just leaning on Strago with that Grand Train spell, so I'm just going to use an elixir on him so that he can get a couple more casts out.
Yeah, 2 more casts of Grand Train, the boss should go down.
Yeah. And keep in mind, in battle, you can switch your character's equipped weapon. So I switched out the Fire Saber, which was going to heal him, for a Tempest, which isn't doing a lot of damage, but it's more than healing him. And there we go. By leaning on our Strago there, we were able to get through that check fairly easily. It wasn't a trivial battle, but it wasn't super challenging either.
Also, keep in mind, though, with changing out your equipment mid-battle, Snow Muffler is really good. But changing out your equipment during battle, you could possibly change out your shield, because your shields can also be thrown just like rods at the enemies.
Elemental shields, not all shields.
Well, I'm sorry, elemental shields, yes. The ice, fire, and lightning shield can be thrown. But they also teach you the tier 2 spell of that element when you have them equipped.
All right. I think it's now time to head to the World of Ruin. Again, it's just a menu there on the airship, and then you switch to the World of Ruin. I'm going to go check the Mobliz, or the Funbaba check. This is one of the checks that we say is peekable. It means that there is a way to find out what the reward is before you do it, so you can decide if you want to spend your time on that check or not. So if you go into this first house and down the stairs, as long as I hit them and don't just miss them. And if you talk to this girl, she says you're not going to take away blank, are you? And that blank is going to be what your reward is. In this case, it's Odin. I'm just going to keep that in mind. I'm not going to do 2 boss battles for a single Esper at this point. Really what I'm looking for is another character. Because another character will open up more possibilities for me. Fanatic's Tower, opened by Strago, is another one that can be peaked. So I'm going to go see what we have available to us. We have Realm.
This could be the progression.
This could be.
But we also have Floating Continent, which has a high chance of having a character as well. And the Veld Cave.
We do. We've got 11 fire rods. Let's take a look. What's the worst that can happen, right?
Well, I was saying even with Grand Train, I don't think Fanatic's Tower should be too hard.
Yeah, so Fanatic's Tower is a special area in the game where only magic is usable. In fact, your other commands will go away. It does have a few chests, and if you talk to the wall behind that first chest there's even another one available. In this case, it was an ether, which was not exciting. Note that Fanatic's Tower is one of the places you cannot use a warp stone to leave. So you're going to do the Stairmaster trip both up and down. So Realm is affectionately called the Murder Child among the community. Why has she earned that particular moniker?
Realm.
Yeah.
She's really good at casting magic. She has some of the highest magic. I think the actual highest magic stat in the game. She's just good. She's just good all around.
Yep, she has the highest magic stat, and magic power in this game scales really well. You get more damage per point of magic power than you do of, say, vigor, which is the physical equivalent. Let's see if anyone can equip that Pearl Lance. There we go. So Realm is able to do just silly amounts of magical damage naturally. If you are able to level up a character with an Esper that gives a magic power bonus on level up, you will clearly become... that character can get more magic power than Realm, but Realm has the highest base magic power stat.
Oh, this is great.
This is probably the best battle one could have hoped for here. And you could see the difference there. Shadow's magic stat is not bad. He is not a bad magic user. But Terra, with her equipment and those earrings on, she did 2,000 more damage than Shadow did. So this is one of those checks where if I were doing this check in a race setting, like this seed in a race setting, Fanatic's Tower might be something that I would try to put off and do later, in the hopes that I wouldn't have to climb all these stairs and do a boss battle that I'm not sure how challenging it would be. But sometimes you get lucky. So many stairs in Fanatic's Tower. So when I started the game, Terra and Shadow were level 3, and Strago joined at level 3. Realm is now going to join at whatever the average level of these three characters is, so she is going to be more powerful.
Should be around 20.
Yes, it is 20-something, but... and as you can see, her magic power is 46, and Terra's is only 39, and that's with a bunch of equipment to boost it. So, Realm has a lot of power behind her. Let's go ahead and give it a save, and let's see what she can equip. I was really, really hoping that she would be able to equip those fixed dice. But no such luck. So I'm going to take the earrings off of Terra and put them onto Realm because that's a lot of magic damage.
Was anyone able to equip that snow muffler?
Yes, I put the snow muffler on Shadow. Why is snow muffler such an exciting item to find?
Oh, it absorbs cold, I believe, and it has a lot of magic defense. It's really great.
It's also, I believe, the highest physical defense item in the game. Generally set your physical defense to 255. Quite useful. What
Oh
I
yeah.
was able to do here was I was actually able to put a Pearl Lance and Dragoon Boots on Terra. That's another particularly useful strategy to keep in mind. Dragoon Boots change your fight command into jump, and if you jump with a lance equipped, you will do 2 times the damage instead of just 1.5. Also, in this shop, there are enhancers for sale. Enhancers are a sword that increase your magic power, so I'm going to put that on Realm there, because if a little magic power is good, a lot must be better, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So what I'm doing here as I go through this seed is I'm starting to figure out what sort of damage strategies I am able to employ through this seed. So I have really both Strago and Realm set up to be magic damage dealers, and Terra is going to become a Dragoon. She'll be jumping, and Shadow has the Sniper available. So, and these are things that I didn't set out to, make these characters do these things, but they are what I found and how I'm able to progress through the seed. So it really helps to start learning different possible builds so that you can be on the lookout for them.
Also, if you happen to get lucky enough to get Realm right away, these early fixed encounters are really nice to start off to get your experience going. Especially that first room with all the paintings, you can still click on the flowers and start that fixed encounter as well.
Yep. Strictly speaking, I did not mean to start this fight, but here we are. So, Vamp, we've been throwing out a lot of, facts and strategy ideas out there. Is there a place where we've, gathered a whole bunch of this information in one spot that people can refer to?
Yes, we have the guide repository in the Discord. We also have a few other channels where we discuss these strategies daily with the members, and it's really quite neat what kind of information everyone shares and how we all play. I can tell you some of us play a little bit differently from each other, and it's really kind of neat to see how people get through these games.
Yep. And one other thing that is still a little new right now is we now have actually a wiki on the website, which is, you can find that at wiki.ff6wc.com.
Oh yes, the new wiki.
Hey, I like the new wiki, and not just because I put a whole bunch of stuff up on it.
No, the new wiki is great.
So with the new wiki, we are trying to really gather a lot of this sort of community-based knowledge that we have and put it in, one spot so that people can go find that. Not that we don't want people asking us questions in the Discord, because we absolutely want you asking questions. But I think it's also useful to have...
Having all that information at the ready is always nice to have.
Yes. So, any idea why I might be trying to run away from a battle I can't run away from here?
Well, I might be thinking that you're trying to manipulate the boss's ATB.
That is a possibility, but that's not strictly speaking what I'm going for here. As you know, bosses, you can't just run away from bosses. That would be silly, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It would be very silly, but with the Ifrit and Shiva fight... Oh. Almost. The way the game works is that the inability to run flag is linked to a monster being on the field. Both Ifrit and Shiva have the flag on them that says, you can't run away from me. Well, when they transition between Ifrit and Shiva, there's no enemy on the field with that flag. So you can run away during the transition. And unfortunately, Shadow didn't get a chance to run away. But it is a way to finish this battle rather quickly if it works out for you, because I did not have actual ice damage available to deal with Shiva. Or deal with Ifrit, because that is the only element he is weak to. Go away, go away, go away, go away. There we go. The downside to beating the battle in this way is I didn't get any experience or gold for that. So, upsides and downsides.
That is a really neat way of doing that. And you just acquired Sabin.
Yep. So Sabin's coming in at level 24. I think I might actually swap him out for Shadow here. I don't have a lot of items that I want to be throwing with Shadow. And, you know, Shadow's just sort of been a physical attacker with that sniper weapon, which, again, great weapon. Glad I have it. He also had my Moogle charm. So I got a random battle here. This random battle does have a reach frog in it, which I do know are worth particularly good XP, so that's why I chose to fight that one. But Sabin with his blitzes, I think, is going to be more worthwhile to me than Shadow with throw, because I don't have a lot of weapons for him to throw.
Yeah, Sabin's a bit more consistent at this point.
Yep, and he might even be able to equip the sniper as well, so really Sabin just sort of became an upgraded Shadow at this point. A thing to note with character gating, you only need to recruit the character to unlock their checks. You do not need to have them with you. So Sabin here unlocked the Collapsing House, and that is a check that has no required battles with it, so it's one that I am usually willing to attempt. And I forgot to check. Oh, he can equip the fixed dice. That changes everything.
Looks like you're putting a Genji glove on him.
Yep. So even though his battle power is very, very low, because of the way fixed dice works, he will be able to output quite a bit of damage. This also means there are 2 monsters in a box in the Collapsing House. I'm going to check those in the hopes that I find Katana Soul, so that I can find an offering. A Genji Glove and offering with 2 fixed dice means that that character will attack 8 times with the fixed dice, which is a lot. And that is a strategy that can carry you all the way through to the very final boss.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Ooh, this is a fight I'd like to see. Lots of experience.
Absolutely. I believe Gigantos are the most experienced in the game.
I believe you're correct.
The one exception to that might be Zone Eater, although I don't think people really intentionally ever kill Zone Eater.
It's not really time effective to be farming Zone Eaters. And the Katana Soul, which is the perfect monster in the box that you needed.
It is. So this will give me access to the offering, which will allow Sabin to, instead of attacking twice, attack 8 times with those fixed dice. Katana Soul is a particularly dangerous enemy, which is why I'm sort of unloading everything I possibly can into him right now. He can be cheesed if you have a Noise Blaster or another way to inflict confusion on Katana Soul. He will use Slayer's Edge on himself, which is an instant death attack. So, when in doubt, let the enemy kill themselves. And then make sure I still have my Moogle Charm, save the kid, and we are out of here. So realistically, at this point, what I'm looking for is good magic for Realm to use. And I mean, honestly, that's about it. I've got the offenses I need for the rest of the game. Do you agree with that assessment? Or is there something else you'd be looking for?
No, you're pretty much right there. Then it's just doing some checks real quick to finish up the requirements.
Yep, there are certainly things that could make it better, that could make my offenses better, but I have what I need to feel comfortable about finishing out this seed.
And chances are you're still going to find a few things that are going to help you along the way.
I just found something fantastic that's going to help me along the way there. Did you see what the Zen thief gave me?
You got a Paladin Shield.
Why am I so excited about a Paladin Shield? It's just a shield. What good can that be?
So the Paladin Shield is the best shield in the game, without question. It has the highest chances to protect you from physical or magic. It also teaches Ultima, which is the huge thing. It teaches Ultima at the 1x rate, which is just fine because that's normal for the Esper to teach you Ultima. But you can also get a Paladin Shield from decursing the Cursed Shield after fighting a number of random encounters. So, however you can get a Paladin Shield, I recommend getting one.
Yes, just to show folks how good this is, I'm going to compare it to, say, the Aegis Shield. Can be used by anyone, 46 defense, 20 evade, 52 magic defense, 40 magic block. The Aegis Shield is a really good shield. The Paladin Shield absorbs, Holy, lightning, ice, and fire, and nullifies water, earth, wind, and poison. Teaches you Ultima and has higher numbers in everything. It is ridiculously good. It's almost the equivalent of getting, say, an adamant armor in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, for people who have played that.
Yep, it is just as good.
So now I am looking for Espers and a couple of characters and gonna go dip Kefka's Tower. For people who are curious how I moved the airship a little bit weirdly like that, I just held down the Y button, and that allows you to just move in a direction instead of flying straight forward. Useful because it allows you will never hit the Doomgaze encounter in the World of Ruin if you move that way, but it is much slower. So while Sabin gambles the enemies to death here, what other sorts of things do you think a new player should know about Worlds Collide?
Um, well, not only is there like a wide variety of ways to play this game, um, we have all the different flag sets. We even have, you know, um, bingo. We can play bingo with the game where we play with like random objectives and we try to play, with a group of people. So there's a lot of cool stuff we can do with the game. But I really like just trying out all the different strategies. Kind of tweaking the game as you play, making it a little bit harder, and really kind of seeing the limits of the game. And when you kind of really starting to do that, you get a lot faster, and the game kind of seems a little bit more. I've seen a lot of players get to the racing level within weeks of starting out. So um, it's really cool how we've progressed since the beginning.
Absolutely. And I do have to say that is in large part due to the community coming together and making a lot of guides available, a lot of community knowledge that is shared freely. Vamp and I are admins in the community, but most of the community growth has been driven not by us, but by everyone else.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a great community. Everyone's super nice and very helpful.
So, in order to show off a couple of different strategies, I'm only going to have Realm learn Ultima. Sabin will be there with his double fixed dice. Terra can be our Dragoon, and Strago has his lore ability. It is possible to swap the Paladin shield around and have everyone learn Ultima, which is absolutely fine if that's what you want to do. But for this particular example, I do want to show off a variety of strategies that are available. Also, it's not always Ultima's not always the best option. It is an option that will guaranteed kill the enemy eventually, but it's not necessarily the fastest option if that's what you're interested in. Ultima is actually a very slow spell to cast.
Very slow spell.
So in a lot of situations, if you're interested in joining the racing community and going quickly, if you have other options, say Fire 3, that might be faster. And now we've got Lock. So one thing to note with the Phantom Train is you can go to the caboose immediately and see what the reward is, and if you don't like it, you can reset out. And also, the shop in this is always the second ghost that you see in the regular train cars.
Second ghost, usually they're more towards the north side. Usually.
Yep. But see, always the second one. Oh, my lord, get out of my way, ghosts, please. Oh, no.
But not only while you're looking for the the nice items like rods or any curative items that you might need for the seed, with the game being gated, you also want to keep your eyes peeled for the dried meat you might need for the Gao check.
Yep. I just didn't find it yet. It's in 4 shops around the world. So it's out there somewhere.
And a good thing to note, though, if you are on the look for the dried meat and you still haven't found it, there's still a few ways of getting some dried meat without having found it in a shop. You can use Ragnarok on one of the dog enemies. I believe the Fidos.
And I know for sure that the Lobos will turn into dried meat. And I think the Fidos do as well if you have that Ragnarok Esper. And it can be found in treasure chests. So that is something, if you watch experienced people play this game on Twitch, you're watching their streams, you will see them buy dried meat whenever they find it, just so that they have it. I have to say, I do approve of running away from the Yeti. I would run away from a Yeti. And I think Sabin here is really showing off the variance of fixed dice. They can do a lot of damage. They can do not a lot of damage. But that sort of evens out if you're using the Genji Glove and the Offering. It'll average something like their level times 27 or something like that in terms of damage. For people... go ahead.
I was going to say, you're rolling so much, the odds are definitely in your favor.
Yeah. For people who have played vanilla Final Fantasy VI, you will notice that we have cut out quite a few of the cutscenes and text boxes as much as possible. So that's just to, again, make things a little bit faster and a little bit, more user-friendly. After doing the Phantom Train, no one wants to sit through that really long cutscene in the middle of a randomizer. At least I don't. Oh, I should click off the sketchy guy and... Ooh, Atma. That's not nice. Atma is not a kind enemy. So just like Katana Soul, I am going to just unload as much as I can into him. If Atma is at a high enough level, Atma can cast Ultima on you. That's not fun. I do not recommend getting Ultima cast in your face. And actually, I do believe this Atma is going to be roughly equal level to me. He's going to be around level 30, and that's where my characters are. So this is, in theory, a fair fight, but fixed dice make it less fair.
Definitely.
So yeah, fixed dice are one of those things that will get you through a battle or a check, but they are inconsistent. So that is just something to be aware of. I really didn't need another character, but here we are. One of the things, and I say this all the time when I'm playing Worlds Collide, that I like about Worlds Collide compared to some other randomizers is that there is not necessarily a correct path to go down in order to get to the end of the game. If someone else were to play this exact seed, they could go a very different set of checks and end up playing a very different game than I'm playing now and still get to the end at roughly the same time that I would.
Yep. And with different characters, too. It's,
Yep. So again, here I am. I'm going to Esper Mountain, which is one of Realm's checks. So here, I saw that was Edgar. I really don't need another character at this point, so I'm just going to leave that check. and Edgar's going to stay in the cave. And that's just going to be okay. So I have Celis. She does have a free check here in South Figaro, down in her jail cell. So I'll go give that a peek, and then I think I'm going to start doing things like the Magitech Factory and the Floating Continent, because I just need to find some espers.
And you already know that there's one at Funbaba.
I do. Funbaba is not a particularly enjoyable battle, but I could go back and do Funbaba. But yeah, there was a particular seed earlier that, you know, had basically one route of characters up until the very last character that you would need to enter Kefka's Tower. But then there are sometimes, like in this seed, where I just keep finding them. No matter what I do, I can't get away from characters. Strength +2. I don't mind putting that on Terra and letting her gain a few points of strength. That will increase her jump damage a little bit. Not a lot, but it will increase it kinda. A lot of players early on get fixated on Esper stat bonuses, but realistically they are totally unneeded to complete the game. They are just sort of nice to have.
They are really nice to have, but the two I look in particular are the plus strength and plus magic power.
Yep, and I believe we're actually working on a patch to include evade and magic evade as possible stat bonuses as well. Now, because of where I'm at in the seed, I have basically what I need to finish this game. There are a huge amount of treasure chests here in the Magitech Factory. Except for the ones that are really close, I'm going to be ignoring them for the most part. Because I just don't need them at this point. You know, is it certainly possible to get, you know, an Illumina, the best sword in the game, in a random treasure chest here? Yep. Would it make it easier? Also, yes. Do I really need it? Not really. So once again, because we have the vanilla undead flag on, we're just gonna Phoenix down Haydn and his boy band, the Haydnites. There is a flag that you can choose to make it so that enemy bosses will not have the undead flag. So you would not be able to beat them this easily. And that's a pretty common flag that people turn on now so that you actually, you know, have to fight the bosses. But again, for someone's first seed, having a couple of bosses that can be, you know, easily taken out can be super useful. I got locked, didn't I? I just forgot to check him off. See, I am not perfect with my tracker usage at this point.
Do you normally skip that that item?
It depends on where I am in the seed. At this point, I just don't need, you know, I don't need more items. So I am choosing to skip a lot of treasures at this point because I just don't need them, and I just want to continue with the checks and get myself to Kefka's Tower. So with new espers, I am checking them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Just to get more spells onto my characters. It is always useful to have more magic, because almost every spell in the game has at least a niche use. I'm not sure I can actually think of a truly useless spell. Can you think of any spells that are, like, truly useless?
Not really.
Now, that's not to say, like, the slow spell is going to be an all-star for you at some point. But there are times where it could be useful.
Absolutely, especially if you have your battle speed turned all the way up, if you're trying to truck along through your seed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the rasp spell that I know that a lot of people might not be using is very handy. If you face a Magus Master and you haven't found any items or any good spells to actually combat with the Magus Master, you can rasp them to death.
Absolutely. There are certain enemies that will die if they hit 0 MP. And one of the guides that's on the wiki is actually a spreadsheet that includes the information of what bosses will be killed by having 0 MP. And I am choosing not to have Sabin attack with his 8 attacks of fixed dice because, frankly, that's just going to take more time than it needs to when I can choose another ability and not sit through 8 attack animations. That is a downside of using fixed dice with the offering. But that is really only a consideration if you really care about the racing the game. If you're just playing for fun, you do what you want. So there is one thing that I am minorly concerned about at this point, and that is the actual final Kefka battle. I hope that I will get, as one of my espers, either Fenrir, Golem, or Palador, because I want to avoid Calmness. Vamp, would you like to give folks a little bit of an insight into what the move Calmness is?
So Calmness will, in the third phase of Kefka, will insta-kill your characters if it's hit by it. Calmness is a spell that is completely avoidable using physical evade. So Golem and Fenrir will instantly negate Calmness if you use those espers during the battle.
And Palador allows your entire party to use a jumping attack, and they come down one by one, so if you are able to kill the enemy that does that when there's only one person on the field, everyone else is in the air, they can't be hit by the Calmness, so nothing bad can happen to them.
The Palador strat will require you to watch the enemy's health.
Yes, that is an advanced strat, but it is a possible option.
But the Paladin shield that you have equipped is going to be very good against Calmness already. Even regardless, so that character might be able to survive it, regardless without those espers.
Right. It becomes more of it's possible to survive. Fenrir or Golem makes it so that it is guaranteed to survive. And really, in a randomizer like this, as players, we spend a lot of time trying to mitigate the random factor. Why are there characters everywhere?
Oh, here's the best character, though.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Umaro. He is one of my favorite characters. I just don't want him right now. Dodaluma, the boss from Zozo. Actually, if there is a martial artist who's able to do a flying jump kick at me while I'm in an airship, a little more terrifying than Dodaluma actually is. He's going to go down very easily. And there we go. Dodaluma is gone.
That was a good fight too. You avoided the potion script.
Yep. He, at some point, if his HP is low enough, he will use some potions and cast Safe and Shell on himself, which really just eats up a whole bunch of time.
It's easily like 45 seconds. Or maybe like 30. 30 is probably close.
Yeah. So I'm going to grab Umaro here, because right now he is equipable. I am going to... Ooh, he can use the sniper. You know what? I wasn't gonna, but I think I'm just gonna use Umaro. You know, give him some levels. Yeah, why not? I do like to show off Umaro. He is particularly powerful, and I think he gets a bad rap. So I like to use him as much as possible. I still need a whole bunch of espers. I think the floating continent might be the choice. The floating continent is something that I put off for a little while because it is a longer check. It has 3 checks in it, but it is going to eat up some time here. Do note that I do approach this game oftentimes from the mindset of a runner, of a racer, but that doesn't mean you have to if you don't want to. So, as an example, Vamp and I actually tend to play this game pretty differently.
We certainly do.
And
a little bit on the slower end.
And that is totally fine. In fact, we're both participating in the Kefka Grand Prix event right now. And one of the reasons why I like that event so much is that there isn't any elimination for the first, what is it, I think 8 weeks?
Right.
Where in some of the other events we've run, you know, we've eliminated 1 or 2 players each week. But with the Kefka Grand Prix, everyone gets to play, you know, for 8 full weeks, which I just think is more fun and inclusive than the other option.
Absolutely, and the participation's pretty high in this event right now.
Not only is the participation pretty high, but there's something that is that I find really, really enjoyable about running the same seed as someone else and having an opportunity to talk about it when you're done. You know, like, oh, did you find the Illumina? Did you find, you know, Strago? You know, how did you approach this? There's something that's just really enjoyable about being able to sort of, you know, debrief after seeds.
Absolutely. You know, just figuring out what others are doing is really cool. it's really interesting when you're playing a seed and you think you're doing like really well, and you probably are, and someone beats it like 30 minutes faster than you. You know, never be discouraged by something like that because they might have made a choice, like you said, that could have, you know, based on the choices that you make, you could possibly get the requirements you need faster than the next person. Um, and they might have avoided the long checks that you have done throughout the seed. Well, all in all, as long as the players have fun playing the seed, that's really all that matters.
Exactly. We do hold a lot of races and events, but there's no prizes. It's just bragging rights. So, just have fun with it. And my philosophy with any game at all, doesn't matter if it's a video game, card game, board game, if you're not having fun, stop playing. Just straight up. If you're not having fun with it, stop playing the game. Because that's the whole point of playing games, is to, have fun and enjoy yourself. And really what we want to see here is we want to see people joining our community and enjoying themselves, having a good time, having fun, playing with other people and playing these seeds and just building a community. If you're not having fun, talk to one of the admins, talk to myself or Vamp, and we'll see if we can try to make the experience better for you, because that's what we're here for. We're here to have a good time.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I work way too hard and way too much to not have fun in my free time.
I know, right? But that's like what I was saying earlier. Like, there's a bunch of people playing this game right now, and we're all playing it a little differently. So there's always a different way of coming into it and seeing, like, people might be racing each other. They might be just joining the Discord to have a friendly co-op, seed while they're playing. They're discussing what they're doing. That's a really good way to practice.
Absolutely. And, we're focusing a lot on building a community and making it so that there are a lot of resources to someone who is new to the game. I don't think you need to have played Final Fantasy VI Vanilla in order to enjoy the randomizer. I think it would help. But, we're working on making written guides and video guides, and there are people like myself and Vamp who, if you are in the Discord and you're like, hey, I'm new, can someone sit down and run a seed with me, if we're available, we both love doing that. Rolling up a seed with you, walking you through it, playing it co-op. We want new people to join us. That we just want to spread the enjoyment that we're all having with this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Vamp, I know you've walked new players through seeds multiple times.
Oh yeah, and it's always kind of fun, and bouncing ideas off of new players, and getting them to see what the game's really all about. And I know there's a bunch of strategies that we haven't even discussed tonight that are very cool to get behind once you're getting into more of some of the advanced techniques of the game.
Absolutely.
Like Psycho Cyan. Psycho Cyan's one of your things, and I absolutely love it because physical strats are my favorite portion of this game.
So Psycho Cyan, despite the slightly distasteful name, is when the person or the character who has sword tech gets into an infinite loop of countering their own counterattacks and infinitely attacks the enemy with physical attacks until the enemy is dead. Like that. Once the glitch starts, and it's fairly easy to set up, there is no stopping it until the battle is over and the enemy is dead. I know this because I sort of famously, during a particular race, ended up with a level 3 Cyan equipped with a Pearl Rod at Tier 4 of Final Kefka, and no other party members who could do much. So I triggered the Psycho Cyan glitch, and Cyan attacked for 28 minutes and killed Kefka 24 HP at a time.
Yep. And during all these, since all these counterattacks are infinitely looped, the enemy can't attack, can't do anything. It's just Cyan. And it's so good.
Now, clearly, if you plan a little bit better and, you know, your Cyan is not level 3, or whoever your sword tech user is, it can go much quicker than that. But in that particular case, it was 28 minutes, and it was a race that I already knew that I had lost, so I decided I was going to lose it in style. And I did.
Well, if that Cyan was of level, that fight would have probably been like 30 seconds or less after that glitch activated.
Yes. So Magimaster here is one of the more frightening bosses in the game, especially if you face them early. What you really need is non-elemental damage, so things like Ultima or Flare. I forgot that Terra has a Pearl Lance equipped, and that's not helpful. Or you need things that ignore defense, like the fixed dice. These fixed dice will make very, very quick work of Magimaster. And one thing to note is he will not use Ultima on his as a death counterattack. That is a flag that I went over at the very beginning. I don't think I've ever really seen that flag not be used. Just because it's such a mean thing for Magimaster to do. Like, oh, you killed me? I'm just gonna, cast the most powerful spell in the game. It's fine.
Yep. But if that flag is ever on, and you still don't have a way of negating the Ultima, and the only two ways I can think of are Halidor or Life 3, rasping Magimaster down so he can't cast that Ultima is a way to get through that.
It is certainly an option. It generally takes a while.
It's not timely, though. That's like a 10-minute option.
So at this point, I need 2 more Espers, and there can be 0, 1, or 2 Espers available in the auction house. Generally not people's favorite check because it takes time. But at this point in a seed where I'm at, only needing 2 Espers, this is going to be fairly quick. And as you can see, this NPC says glowing stones still available. That does mean that there are Espers for sale. So let's hope. I cannot believe this. So, I want you to know that this imp robot is, this is now the 3rd time in my entire Worlds Collide, career that I have gotten the imp robot. Ever.
Oh, I've gotten a lot more than that.
There are people who have gotten it 3 times in 1 seed.
I would be one of them.
So, this is another reason that it is the downside of the auction house, is sometimes you just get an auction you can't do. A lot of people will save right outside of Jador here and just save and exit, or reset, and come back in. If this were a racing situation, I would have done that, but, the other reason I went to the World of Ruin, Jador, Oh, hi, Illumina. Hello, I'm going to purchase you. Is that these items that I buy here, there's only one copy of, then they will be out of the pool, and I will be more likely to be able to buy an Esper the next time. I do know there's at least one of the racers in our community who does like to go to the auction house early in case there is something like that Illumina available for sale.
It's a really good strategy.
It's one of those high-risk, high-reward strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I have purchased that Illumina, it's out of the pool, and then once I purchase this Dark Hood, it will be out of the pool, and hopefully I will actually get an Esper. I might be asking for a lot there. I recognize that. I mean, other things I could do, I could go to Mobliz and do Funbaba and get Odin. I could go to Narsh and get do Tritalk and then Umaro's check.
Mm-hmm.
I have lots of options available to me. At this point, I chose to do the auction house because if I had good luck, I would already be ready for Kefka's Tower. There's a lot of hedging in that sentence.
Carbuncle.
So now he didn't say that there were glowing stones available, so I know that there isn't one. So I can just leave. And, you know, I do know that there is a Esper available in Mobliz, so I will take the sure bet over a possible thing at another check. Again, I tend to think of this in terms of racing. Vamp, how would you have approached this situation differently, since I know you play differently than I do?
Well, I probably, instead of going to the auction house, I probably would have done the Tritalk Umero spots. That would only be because I like to kill a last minute dragon before going into Kefka's Tower, because dragons give a lot of experience and almost a sure way to learn almost all the spells off of one Esper in one shot. Almost all the time, but there's a lot of MP that drops off of a dragon.
Yes. So this is Funbaba here. That Funbaba instance of him is not shuffled into the pool unless you choose a flag that specifically states that he will be. Mostly because it's just really not fun to have half your party randomly thrown out of the battle and out of your party entirely, which is a thing that absolutely can and does happen.
Especially if you're at the back end of Kefka's Tower. Not fun to go through another 10 minutes because you got unlucky. But you know, that's also kind of fun in the sense if everyone has to experience it as well.
Yeah, it was very amusing the first time it happened. And then after that, people are like, okay, we're good. We don't need to... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. I am at more than 7 characters and 10 Espers. So I am going to head over to Kefka's Tower. Now, there are a few things I need to keep in mind, or anyone needs to keep in mind when they are entering Kefka's Tower. You are splitting into 3 parties. Generally, the first party has the fewest bosses to fight. The third party has the most bosses to fight. So I generally put my strongest character in the third party, and then like my weakest party as my first party. Is that roughly how you do it as well?
Absolutely.
And I always recommend bringing as many of your characters with you as you can. The other characters who haven't been leveled up as much, they can be your Moogle Charm Mules. They can also, throw Phoenix Downs or Elixirs on your main damage dealers as you need them. Ooh, Strago, you've been, Oh, he got unequipped earlier. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that he has... I'm going to make sure that my top characters have equipment that they need, and then other... now that Shadow... Okay, you don't need the Illumina Shadow.
I probably would have put that Mirage Vest on Strago for the calmness if you're going to use them in the end.
That is a good point. I might end up doing that. You know what? I'm just going to go do that right now. Although I'm trying to see who else can equip the Illumina of characters I actually care about and want to bring with me to the final battle. So, why is the Mirage Vest a particularly interesting piece of gear?
Well, it creates a shadow illusion, which majorly increases your evade in battle.
And allows... It's another way to avoid that instant death calmness attack. It refreshes for each tier of the Kefka battle. So if you are, if you lose the illusion on tier 2, you'll regain it on tier 3. As an example, it's one of those often overlooked pieces of equipment, and frankly was something that I didn't even know what it did until I played this randomizer. And I've played this vanilla game more than I'd care to admit.
It's just one of those neat things that, some of the equipment attributes heavily outweigh making a bunch of glass cannons. If you're trying to decurse a shield, you want to keep your eyes open for like ribbons and peace rings. That way your characters can still be viable in battle. And, stuff like the Mirage Vest early on in a seed can easily get you through an early boss without you getting hit.
Yes. Randomizers like this one do particularly reward having a deep knowledge of the game, but that is why we are making guides like this, the beginner's guide and various other things, to make sure that knowledge is widely distributed and available for new people who want to join us. So here we have boss number 1. Actually, quite literally, this is boss number 1.
Hey, you luckily didn't have Umaro in the party.
You say that. It would have been fine.
It would have been. I normally roll the Umaro against Welk.
So it looks like Gao there ended up with natural magic. I was trying to figure out what to use with him so that it wouldn't attack the shell, because he does have rage and he does have health. I did give Gao, instead of having Leap, the ability, just a random ability, because Leap would never appear in the game, and I would rather have something random than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go back and save there, but I am pretty confident that I am over leveled for what's going on here. So I guess you could say I'm being having a little hubris and not saving. I would recommend any new player saves as often as it makes them feel comfortable too.
Save early, save often.
Don't forget your Moogle charms. Pro tip.
Yeah, I've had countless seeds where I've done the first 10-minute item checks, forgot my Moogle charm, and then got eaten by a random encounter. And didn't save.
Oh, that's the worst. It's always the worst. So I am actually going to de-equip the dragon boots off of Terra, just because she's got the Illumina, and the dragon boots and the Illumina. I still forgot to equip the Moogle charm. Just aren't going to be as impactful. It would still do more damage, but it takes longer than doing just a regular swing, so it's sort of a gray area as to what the actual correct choice, quote unquote, would be there. So yeah, even though I don't really need treasure chests anymore, that one's literally in the way, so I grab it.
Yep. A last minute Mega Elixir will definitely come in handy for the last few phases.
Yep. So in this particular seed, the curing that I got, the best curing I got was Cure 2. So, I will be leaning on those Mega Elixirs as the game goes on, or as the final Kefka fight goes on.
Especially for Fallen 1 on Phase 4.
Yep. So, in terms of a set of general seeds and general flags, I think this is a particularly good place to start. And I even think this seed was a good seed to start on because it has a lot of powerful options available fairly early. So that, if you're a new player, you can get into this one without and get to see the power without too much struggle. Would you agree with that assessment of this particular seed?
Oh yeah, this seed was really great. Oh, this is an easy endgame battle.
Yep, and I've just entirely overkilled it with Sabin. I mean, I guess I can use my soundboard and do a Kefka laugh at overkilling with Sabin. Unfortunately, that doesn't go through Discord, so I don't think you heard it, unless you have the sound up on my stream.
I did not hear it, no. I'll have to check it out later.
There we go. Once again, save early, save often. I mean, it is possible Doomgaze could be a challenge, but realistically, I'm not worried about anything at this point.
Here's a tank that attacks like an octopus.
He does have other things that he attacks like, it just never comes up. Because it dies. To a lot of gambling. One thing I am slightly concerned about is Tier 1's ability to counter with Quake, just depending on how the targeting goes, because with Fixed Dice and Offering, I don't get to point at what I want him to kill first. Sabin's just gonna pick.
And you don't have float either.
I don't believe so.
So float is one of those things to note, though, that you can precast it on your party if you know that there's a battle with Quake coming up, and have it ready on your party to go.
Yep. Now we have a Cranes battle. This is it's going to be fine. Umaro is going to... Oh, it looks like Locke was our other natural magic user. So, sure, cast some spells, Locke. You're going to help.
So going back to the abilities that ignore target armor and defense, the Umaro charge tackle ignores defense.
Yeah, that body slam is very, very powerful. And a lot of people don't like getting an early Umaro that they're sort of forced to use, but he can absolutely solo some bosses just because of his particular kit that he comes with.
And if it's normal equipment and they don't start naked, Umaro does start out with a bone club and a snow muffler, which is really good.
Yeah, the bone club is a weapon not to be sneezed at all. By the time in the vanilla game when you normally get him, a bone club is not that exciting. But it is still, especially early game, just a fairly high-powered weapon. And we have more squid. So the Illumina here is a particularly powerful weapon. It's non-elemental damage. It will use MP to auto-crit, and it can also cast Pearl upon proccing. Is that correct? Yep, it's Pearl. One does need to be careful with the procs because there are a lot of things that absorb Holy Element, which Pearl is holy, and that can be a real feels bad there.
He's very devastating if you heal the boss for 10,000 health.
Again, we're not speaking from experience at all here. We haven't done that recently, even.
Oh, I have.
Oh, 100%. Sure. You saw me use a fire rod on Inferno and heal him. I should have been tipped off by his name was Inferno. Alright, so one last check. I've got Palador and Odin. In particular, there are times when using Espers will be particularly useful for the final Kefka boss. So I want to make sure I had the correct ones equipped.
So if you'd actually had picked up that Edgar earlier, you probably wouldn't have needed that Odin equipped.
That's true. I had multiple air anchors, but we do have multi-summon Espers on, so if that Odin misses, we can just try again. That is one of the reasons why I like the multi-summon Esper flag is, it opens up some new strategies where, if you get Bahamut, say, that's just a powerful spell. That can be a lot of your damage. Realm, Umaro, Sabin, Strago, and then I don't care after that. So it is, truthfully, it's not often that I go into the final battle where I've got extra characters who are, perfectly leveled and ready to go. So Odin there has the chance of killing the long arm or the arm on the left. So anytime you get a free kill on something, we're going to do it. And now we want to kill the face next so that the face will not counterattack with Quake, because that would be a bad thing. But we do have Strago as a backup, and Realm will absorb it because she has the Paladin Shield, and the Paladin Shield is the best shield in the game. Funny story, you know Umaro has a magic stat that's comparable to Terra's?
I did not notice that, no.
His magic attack stat is almost as high as Terra's. And
that affects Blizzard, I'm assuming, right?
Yep, that affects Storm, and that's why he has it. Ooh, Sabin, could you stop rolling 1s and 2s, please? That'd be great. That was just a bad series of rolls. One thing that we do typically do here is that we have the option of scaling the final battle to the same scaling as the rest of the fights. Typically, we choose not to scale the final battle. Partially, that makes the final battle predictable. Like, you know what's coming and you know what to prepare for. If it's not predictable, it can get real rough. Just real rough. Muddle, I do not, it appears, have reflect, or mute, I'm sorry. So once again, Odin was able to take out Tools, the enemy that is sort of to the right of the woman in red. Generally, if you have mute, you want to cast mute on Magic, the guy in the back. And then you want to take out the tiger, sort of your next priority target, so to speak. Gross. So Northern Cross applies the freeze status. Note that is... I don't think there is anything in the game that makes you immune to freeze.
I don't think so.
But as you can see, I'm clearly well leveled for this fight. I am not... My damage output is very good. I'm somewhere close to level 50. For the most part, I tend to go into Final Kefka battles in the high 30s to low 40s. So just because of how this seed in particular played out, I am much more powerful than I am normally. And Sabin is showing us why relying on fixed dice alone can be scary. He had 2 good rolls, 1 mediocre, and 5 awful, awful rolls there. And now we go up to Tier 3 of Final Kefka. This is the fight that I tend to get the most concerned about. Girl in the back, she has... she will absorb every element, and she will cast Life 2 and Pearlwind, and it can get real bad. Because if she lifes to sleep, the gentleman there, it can really ruin your day. So I'm kind of hoping that this won't necessarily kill sleep, and I can use Palador to jump some of my characters away from the calmness. But as bad as his rolls were on Tier 2 is how good they are this time, so... 1 block, 2 blocks. Terra there for the win. Blocks both of those calmnesses. And now we get to Final Kefka, which is effectively a fight that is an exercise in counting to 64. He has 64,000 HP, and you really only need to seriously worry about it when he gets under 10,000 HP, where he can counter with Ultima, which would make you sad. Although I am sad my Umaro is asleep. Alright, so what I did there was I queued up Palador. Oh, if you're sleeping, you don't get picked up. Huh, fascinating. I didn't actually know that. But I queued up attacks with the other 2 characters, so that when they land, they're going to do their jump attack, and then they're going to do their attack that was queued up. So, with good rolls here, it is actually entirely possible that Kefka could just die. After getting 1 action off. Although he has decided that he does not like the Yeti. One other thing to note is that when Kefka is charging up Goner here and the screen is shaking, he will not counterattack. So this is a very good time to just dish out as much damage as you can. You'll notice that I'm not using Ultima here. I'm opting to use a Thunder Shield instead. It's going to do equal damage, but in a much faster time frame. Although I'm not sure that's going to be relevant because this is the end of the fight and Kefka has died. So hopefully with this seed, if you go with the flags and the seed name that I have provided you, you can play along this seed with me and have a good first experience with Worlds Collide. And then I would recommend just using the same set of flags and generating some other seeds and giving it a try on your own. Do you have any final thoughts for Moogle's first seed?
No, not really. This was a really great seed, and if this is a seed that you enjoy for your first time playing, definitely recommend playing some more. And if you find any of those seeds any difficult, feel free to reach out to me, Vamp, and I will be more than happy to help you along with whatever struggles come your way.
Yep, and same goes for me, and I think we can safely say that for any of the admins or community helpers or really anyone in our Discord server. If you're having a struggle with a seed, post in the server and we'll get you taken care of. We'll help you out. So hopefully I'll see some of you all around the Discord server going forward.